Hello, I'm Trent, aka oTradeMark here, and recently I was talking to a top player in Anime Fighters who has since quit the game, and I was reminiscing about when I used to be on various in-game leaderboards. If you don't know, at one point I used to be as high as number 6 on the Stars Opened leaderboard, and I have since fallen off it entirely. And this leaderboard player explained to me that I had fallen off because of scripters. Now, I'm familiar with scripting in Anime Fighters. I've known it's been a thing since basically the very beginning, and I never really had a problem with it because I assumed that most of the things which scripters could do, you could replicate with tiny tasks. However, I was wrong. What you are seeing on the left-hand side is footage that was sent to me of a scripter opening stars, and on the right-hand side, I have my account opening the same star, and both of these accounts have max upgrades as well as all the game passes in the game. But you will notice that the scripter is able to open stars significantly faster than me. In fact, they are able to open stars over twice as fast as a normal player. Not only that, scripters are also able to automate time trials as well as meteor farming. They are able to automate the two most time-intensive tasks in the game. So when I realized that scripters are basically able to max open indefinitely, as well as naturally open over twice as fast as a normal player, I understood why, regardless of me opening basically 24/7, I fell off entirely from the Stars Open leaderboard. And here's the thing, I don't blame them. In my most recent live stream, I asked you all why you felt like the player base was decreasing. And the three most common responses that I got were, number one, because the secondary resources in the game, those being time trial shards, raid shards, and fruits, are all extremely monotonous and boring to farm. Number two, even if you put in the time to open enough stars to find a rare unit, like a secret or a divine, and even if you grind enough fruits to give yourself a good chance of actually converting it, many of you have experienced the awful feeling of failing your shiny conversion and losing not only the rarest fighter which you have, but also all of the fruits and levels associated with it. And then number three, there really just isn't much to do in the end game. There's no incentive to play with your friends. There's no real end game content aside from repeating the same farm, open, convert, incubate cycle every single update. So understanding that players are either getting bored of the game, or they're getting tired of the monotonous grind, or they're getting upset with the mechanics of the game, such as losing a unit in the shiny machine, I'm understanding why so many players are turning towards scripting the game and automating it. Now, one thing that could be done about the scripting problem is implementing a stronger anti-cheat. There are numerous ways the team could catch player scripting. In fact, I can pretty much mathematically prove that the yen and stars opened gains that most of the leaderboard players make on a daily basis are basically impossible to get normally. But banning a significant portion of the players in a game that already has its player base declining seems like a really poor decision. Instead, I feel like the correct move is to address why players would rather script than play the game in the first place. So here's what I feel like is the best solution. First off, give normal players additional settings and quality of life changes that only scripters have access to. For example, we should be able to turn off the open animation within settings so that we can open at the same speed as scripters. Also, an auto fuse as well as an auto lock passive function is very important for leveling the playing field. Also, there should be a more entertaining way to grind fruits and shards, or at the bare minimum, a way to AFK farm these secondary resources. Second of all, the game needs more incentives to play as a group. Scripters don't typically play in a group because if they get reported by one of the other players, they could get banned. So incentivizing players to play as a team with their friends is, in my opinion, the best solution to all of this, because not only does it de-incentivize scripting, it also makes the game more enjoyable. And right now, there really isn't any incentive to be playing with a group. If you're farming time trial shards, you want to grind solo. If you want to grind meteors, you want to be in a private server by yourself. If you're doing raids, as long as you can beat the raid, it's better to complete it by yourself. And even if you can't beat the raid by yourself, no one wants to invite you to their lobby to beat the raid for you, because it just makes their raid more difficult and it doesn't give them any additional rewards. Personally, I think that they should scale all of the rewards in the game per player that is actually contributing to whatever task that you are actually trying to complete. So the more players that you have in a raid, the more difficult it becomes, but also the more shards, more raid shards that each of you actually gets individually. The more players that you have in a time trial, the more difficult that a time trial becomes, but the more time trial shards as well as yen multiplier that is actually added to that particular time trial. The same would be for meteors. The same would be for everything in the game. I would add multipliers for the number of players here. Basically, what you want to try to do is shift the focus away from this game being an AFK overnight farming game. You want to reward players for actually playing the game and playing it and enjoying it with the community, with their friends, with their teammates. You could introduce guilds to the game. You could have guild challenges and titles and rewards and guild versus guild content. There are so many things that you could do, but at the end of the day, getting rid of some of the boring grinds in the game and incentivizing players to play as a group are, in my opinion, the best solutions to this problem. Now, finally, I want to address some speculation that has been circulating in the community. A video recorded on a toaster has surfaced, which allegedly shows me scripting in anime fighters. And well, I have a full-time job. I have a family. My time is scarce. You see, the truth is,
I am Iron Man.